I'm going to tell you about today's important book, Awaken the Giant Within. Its summary is going to be one sentence summary is that Awaken the Giant Within is a psychological blueprint you can follow to wake up and start taking control of your life. Starting in your mind, spreading through your body, and then all the way through your relationships, work, and finances until you are the giant you are always meant to be. So sometimes I forget. I read the summary of a book like this and think, man, I have heard a lot of this before, but that's because I read a lot of self help books and market has been flooded with them over the past 20 to 30 years. This makes it easy to forget to put each book into perspective. Awaken the Giant Within was released in 1991, the year I was born. If I manage someone reading it some 25 years ago, this book can't have felt anything other than groundbreaking. The strategies and techniques Tony Robbins talks about have long become standard practice, but he pioneered them. Here are three lessons to help you feel more in charge of your life than ever before. First is associate bad habits with pain and good ones with pleasure. Associate bad habits with pain and good ones with pleasure. Okay, next. Change the words you use to transform how you feel and deal with problems. Change the words you use to transform how you feel and deal with problems. Third, make up your own rules and communicate them to become happier. Make up your own rules and communicate them to become happier. Okay, ready to wake up your inner giant? Let us do it. Okay, first lesson one: associate bad habits with pain and good ones with pleasure. Very simple framework to look at the world is this: all of our actions are aimed at either avoiding pain or getting pleasure. Going to the job you don't like is something you do to avoid the pain of not being able to pay rent. Listening to your favorite song should lift your mood, and so on. You can use this framework to successfully break bad habits and establish good ones. You simply have to pair bad habits with pain and good habits with pleasure. For example, if you want to quit eating chocolates, Tony says you should force yourself to sing a song you hate out loud every time you eat some. After having to sing a terrible song loudly at a packed restaurant every once just because you ordered molten chocolate lava cake of dessert, chances are you will easily avoid the coca packed candy from then on. Eventually, you will have to replace your bad habit within you, better, more positive one, in order to fill the void. This is a circular part of habit change. A technique called temptation bundling can help you with it. The creator, Kathy Milkman, loved the Hunger Games audiobooks but allowed herself to listen only while working out in the gym. As a result, she worked out 6 times a week just to find out what happens. Next, lesson 2: use different words to end up in a different state of mind. If you have ever seen Tony Robbins in action, you know he is a powerful guy in every sense of the word. He's tall, big, loud, and has a very positive aura. Something you might have not picked up on his vocabulary. Tony always uses expressive and unusual language to reinforce positive emotions and play down negative ones. He calls this transformational vocabulary and says it's very important to watch your language because the way you describe how you experience the world is a big and defining part of that experience. In the English language, there are over 3,000 words to describe emotions. Sadly, 66% of them are for negative emotions, twice as many as positive ones. So how can you use your words to your advantage? Reinforce good feelings with powerful words and play down bad emotions with less intense language. For example, instead of saying that lying in the sun makes you feel happy, you could say, I am in complete bliss. And instead of yelling, this piece of junk is annoying the crap out of me at your car that just broke down, or that broke down, you could say, well, that's a bit unfortunate. Pro tip: the use unusual words to make yourself laugh at tough situations. For example, say, I do feel a little irked at this. When you are really frustrated, just hearing yourself talk out loud using such old fashioned words will instantly put you in a better mood. Make up your own rules and tell other people about them to increase your happiness. I'm having a long day at work today, but I know I feel great once I sit down on my couch after I come home. However, thought something like this, I'm pretty sure we all have our own little rules that determine what does and doesn't make us happy. However, it all too often we make up rules where we give away control. For example, if I will be so happy if my boss tells me I did a great job with this presentation. It's not a good rule to have, you know, it's not a good rule to have, because you hand over your happiness to your boss whom you can't control. So first, make up better rules. I will be happy if I spend at least 1 hour of focused work on this event plan. Is a lot better than the rule above, because this is something you can influence. Secondly, communicate your rules as much as you can, because you can't possibly expect a people to have the same rules as you do. When you think your best friend is not a good friend because she only calls you once a month, then that's just your rule about thinking best friends call each other every few days. Tell her that that's what you believe, and she will tell you her rule. Which then lets the two of you find a better solution that works for both of you. So Awaken the Giant within review, and Tony Robbins is always worth spending some time with, no matter in what format. Even 25 years of later, Awaken the Giant within still has a massive capacity to inspire you and give you actionable steps to start changing your life for the better today. I especially love using better language because it's an easy win. So we'll go for another book summary of the same thing, and so get different perspectives. So book in 3 sentences anytime. Anytime you sincerely want to make a change, the first thing you must do is to raise your standards and believe you can meet them. And we must change our belief system and develop a sense of certainty that we can and will meet the new standards before we actually do. Third, it's not what we do once in a while that shapes our lives, but what we do consistently. The big five ideas. First is the three decisions that control destiny are your decisions about what to focus on, and second, your decisions about what things mean to you. Third, your decisions about what to do to create the results you desire. Second, by changing any one of these five elements, whether it's more belief or rule, a value, a reference question, or an emotional state, you can immediately produce powerful and measurable change in your life. Everything you and I do, we do either out of our need to avoid pain or our desire to gain pleasure. It's not the events of our lives that shape us, but our beliefs as to what those events mean. Focus on where you want to go, not on what you fear. Awaken the giant within summary. Anytime you sincerely want to make a change, the first thing you must do is to raise your standards and believe you can meet them. We must change our belief system and develop a sense of certainty that we can and will meet the new standards before we actually do. You see, in life, lots of people know what to do, but few people actually do what they know. In a sense, if we want to direct our lives, we must take control of our consistent action. It's not what we do once in a while that shapes our lives, but what we do consistently. It's not your moments of decision that shapes your destiny. If you don't set a baseline standard for what you accept in your life, You will find it easy to slip into behaviors and attitudes or quality of life that's far below what you deserve. If you truly decide to, you can do almost anything. If you truly decide to, you can do almost anything. Making a true decision may means committing to achieving a result and then cutting yourself off from any other possibility. Making a true decision means committing to achieving a result and then cutting yourself off from any other possibility. The three decisions that control your destiny are your decisions about what to focus on, your decisions about what things mean to you, your decisions about what to do to create your results you desire. It's likely that whatever challenges you have in your life currently could have been avoided by some better decisions upstream. Your master system is comprised of five components: your core beliefs and unconscious rules, and your life values, your references, the habitual questions that you ask yourself, and the emotional states you experience in each moment. By changing any of these five elements, whether it's one's core belief or rule, a value, a reference, a question, or an emotional state, you can immediately produce a powerful and measurable change in your life. Remember, success truly is the result of good judgment. Good judgment is the result of experience, and the experience is often the result of bad judgment. So, in order to succeed, you must have a long-term focus. God's delays are not God's denials. Often, what seems impossible is the short term becomes very possible is the long term if you persist. Remember the true power of making decisions. Realize that the hardest step in achieving anything is making a true commitment, a true decision. A critical rule I have made for myself is never to leave the scene of a decision without first taking a specific action towards its realization. Make decisions often and learn from them. Make decisions often and learn from them. Ask yourself what's good about this, what can I learn from this. Stay committed to your decisions, stay committed to your decisions, but stay flexible in your approach. Know what is your decisions and not your conditions that determine your destiny. Everything you and I do, we do either out of need to avoid pain or desire to gain pleasure. For most people, the fear of loss is much greater than the desire for gain. What is it that people can experience pain yet fail to change? They haven't experienced enough pain yet. They haven't hit what I call emotional threshold. If I link massive pain to any behavior or emotional pattern, we will avoid indulging in it at all costs. It's our neuro associations, the associations we have established in our neural nervous systems that determine what we'll do. Anytime we are in intense emotional state, when we are feeling strong sensations of pain or pleasure, anything unique that occurs consistently will become neurologically linked. Most of us base our decisions about what to do and what's going to create pain or pleasure in the short term instead of the long term. It's not actual pain that drives us, but our fear that something will lead to pain. And it's not actual pleasure that drives us, but our belief, our sense of certainty that somehow taking a certain action will lead to pleasure. We are not driven by reality but by our perceptions of reality. And remember, anything you want to that's valuable requires that you break through some short-term pain in order to gain long-term pleasure. It's not the events of our lives that shape us, but our beliefs as to what those events mean. It's never the environments, never the events of our lives, but the meaning to attach to the events and how we interpret them that shapes who we are today and who will become tomorrow. What are our beliefs designed for? There are guiding force to tell us that will lead to pain and what will lead to pleasure. Whenever something happens in our life, our brain asks two questions: will this mean pain or pleasure? What must I do now to avoid pain and to gain pleasure? The challenge is threefold. Most of us do not consciously decide what we are going to believe. Often our beliefs are based on the misinterpretation of past experiences, and once we adopt a belief, we forget it's merely an interpretation. Global beliefs are the giant beliefs we have about everything in our lives, beliefs about our identities, people, work, time, money, and life itself for that matter. These giant generations are often phrased as is, am, or life is, I am, people are. If you can think of an idea as being like a tabletop with no legs, you will have fair representation of why an idea doesn't feel as certain as a belief. Without any legs, that tabletop won't even stand up by itself. Belief, on the other hand, has legs. If you really believe I am sexy, how do you know you are sexy? Isn't it true that you have some references to support the idea, some experiences in life to back it up? Those are the legs that make your tabletop solid, that makes your belief certain. Sometimes we gather references to information we get from other people or from books or tapes, movies, and so on, and sometimes we form references based on solely on our imagination. The strongest and most solid legs are formed by personal experiences that we have lot of emotion attached to them because they are painful or pleasurable experiences. If you develop the absolute sense of certainty that powerful beliefs provide, then you can get yourself to accomplish virtually anything, including those things that other people are certain are impossible. The most effective way is to get your brain to associate massive pain to the old belief. New experience trigger change only if they cause us a question our beliefs. Remember, whenever we believe something, we no longer question it anyway, and if we question anything enough, eventually you will begin to doubt it. Have classified beliefs into three categories: opinions, beliefs, and convictions. An opinion is something we feel relatively certain about, but the certainty is only temporary because it can be changed easily. A belief, on the other hand, is formed when we begin to develop a much larger base of reference legs, and especially reference legs about which we have strong emotion. A conviction, however, eclipses a belief primarily because of the emotional intensity a person links to an idea. A person holding conviction does not feel only feel certain but gets angry if their conviction is even questioned. A person with conviction is unwilling to ever question their references, even for a moment. They are totally resistant to new input, often to the point of obsession. Someone with a conviction is passionate about their belief that they are even willing to risk rejection or make a fool of themselves for the sake of their conviction. So, how can we create a conviction? Start with a basic belief, reinforce your belief by adding new and more powerful references, then find a triggering event or even create of your one of your own. Associate yourself fully by asking, what will it cost me if I don't? Ask questions that create emotional intensity for you. Finally, take action. Each action you take strengthens your commitment and raises the level of your emotional intensity and conviction. The way to expand our lives is to model the lives of those people who are already succeeding. It's just a matter of asking questions. What do you believe makes you different? What are the beliefs you have that separate you from others? At the end of each day, at the end of each day, I ask myself these questions: what I have learned today, what did I contribute or improve, what did I enjoy? And this is a step-by-step process that can condition your nervous system to associate pleasure to those things, and you want to continuously move toward, and pain to those things you need to avoid in order to exceed consistently in your life without constant effort of willpower. We all want to change either we feel about things or our behavior. There are three specific beliefs about responsibility that a person must have if they are going to create a long-term change. First, we must believe something must change, not that it is that should change, not that it could or ought to, but that is absolutely must. Second, we must not only believe that thing must change, but we must believe I must change it. Third, we have to believe and I can change it. Each time we experience significant amount of pain or pleasure, our brains search for the cause and record it in our nervous system to enable us to make better decisions about what to do in the future. Anytime you experience significant amount of pain or pleasure, your brain immediately searches for the cause. It uses following three criteria. Your brain looks for something that appears to be unique. Your brain looks for something that seems to be happening simultaneously. Your brain looks for consistency. So often we blame the wrong cause and thereby close ourselves off from possible solutions. The difference between acting badly or brilliantly is not based on your ability, but on the state of your mind or body or any given moment. Emotions created by emotion. Focus on where you want to go, not on what you fear. Our ability to change the way we feel depends upon our ability to change our submodalities. If you have got to be in a determined state in order to succeed, I began to realize that thinking itself is nothing but the process of asking and answering questions. Quality questions create a quality life. A genuine quality of life comes from consistent quality questions. Questions accomplish three specific things. Questions immediately change what you are focusing on, therefore how we feel. Questions change what we delete. Questions change the resource available to us. You and I can change how we feel in an instant just by changing our focus. On the one of the ways that I have discovered to increase the quality of my life is to model the habitual questions of people I really respect. The words you habitually choose also affect how you communicate with yourself, and therefore what you experience. People with an improvised vocabulary live an improvised emotional life. People with rich vocabularies have a multi-hued palette of colors with which no paint their experience, not only for others but for themselves as well. Simply by changing your habitual vocabulary, the words you consistently use to describe the emotions of your life, you can instantly change how you think, how you feel, and how you live. If we want to change our lives and shape our destiny, we need to consciously select the words we are going to use, and we need to constantly strive to expand our level of choice. Setting goal is the first step in turning our invisible into the visible, the foundation for all success in life. All goal setting must be immediately followed by both the development of a plan and massive and consistent action toward its fulfillment. It's not just getting a goal that matters, but the quality of life we experience along the way. Remember, our goal is not to ignore the problem of life, but to put ourselves in a mental and emotional states where we can not only come up with solutions but act upon them. You must remember that all decision making comes down to value clarification. The only way for us to have long-term happiness is to live by our highest ideals, to consistently act in accordance with what we believe our life is truly about. Many people know what they want to have, but have no idea of who they want to be.